Morning, everyone, and how are you? Hope you slept well. Welcome to today's session. Today is 27th, I guess. Yes, 27th of November 2025. And we have 3 days to the end of November. December is here. We are getting ready. Looking forward to all the celebration, the eating of rice, the visiting, and everything. Okay. From the 30th, we should start drinking tetracycline. So that the tummy will be ready for all the all the things that we are going to consume. Okay. Welcome everyone. So today we are going to continue our conversation around forgiveness. We've touched forgiveness different ways. Even Augustina also came and shared her powerful story, how she learned to forgive herself and also forgive um, her, from our ex, So sometimes these stories remind of some of the things that life has made us to experience. But we thank God because those experiences make us who we are. They are part of our journey. We can't throw them away. And no matter how we say we are going to forgive people, we cannot forget all those things. But it gets to a point where we embrace them as part of our journey. That makes us, that makes the forgiveness journey complete. So thanks you for being here today. And fortunately today, I'm not going to do all the talking. I'm going to listen and contribute like every other person here today because we have Mr. Ala-Binte who is going to help us understand how to forgive, when to forgive, what is the cost of forgiveness and how can we reward ourselves. So we are looking at cost and reward of forgiving people and forgiving ourselves as well. So Mr. Ala-Binte, you're ready? Let's get.
I'm fully ready since yesterday.
Take it on, sir.
So the twins have also empowered me to speak to us this morning, and the mother as well. Can you hear me, Flora?
Yes, we can hear you.
Not only Flora, me said I can hear you, and I'm sure every other person can hear you.
Jealousy. Ala-Binte, go ahead. I've left the floor for you.
Okay. So good morning, everyone. The name Ala-Binte is already a known name in Character Room Africa. First and foremost, let me express gratitude to God Almighty for giving us another opportunity to sleep and wake up. Of course, I usually say that this sleeping and waking is the most important miracle for me because you have to live to pursue other life ideals and goals. I want to acknowledge Flora, Miss Flora Gaptoni, for giving me another opportunity to present to us in this room again. I think first time I had a presentation here was in July, and here am I again. I also want to thank all the great philosophers of Character Room Africa for being very good and honest people. And I want to say that I do not take this opportunity to present to us for granted. I consider it a singular and a rare privilege. Greetings from the twins, Quartet Desire and Karinate Treasure, and then the mother, Mrs. Naomi Biopongvo Ala-Binte. Today, we are looking at the virtue of forgiveness. We have been on it for some time, but today we are looking at it in different shapes and forms, like you will say, the price and the fees of unforgiveness. So what really are we here to talk about? Someone else have spoken that forgiveness is a path to freedom, is a path to healing, is a path to new life, and is a path to transformation. But then I want to say that forgiveness is easily talked about, and it is not easily acted out. It is the healing power that sets a soul free. No wonder a philosopher, Lewis Smedis, said forgiveness is to set a prisoner free, and the prisoner you discover is you. That is me, myself, you yourself. So in life, we come across different people from different race, age, culture, and oftentimes we get offended. Even you can offend yourself. People offend you, you offend others. And then everyone at one point in time or other carry these scars with us. Those harsh words, that broken trust, the unjust actions, and then the painful memories. Now, if these things are not dealt with at the right time, at the right moment, they buried influencing our emotions, our relationships, our productivity, and even our destiny. We live in a world with offense, betrayal, disappointment, and human imperfections. So oftentimes when we talk about the issue of forgiveness, sometimes people see it as in fact, what we imagine is that forgiveness, if I forgive, is a weakness on my own part. Others see it as condoning the wrong that has been done against us. Others see it as forgetfulness. But then, forgiveness, in the true sense of it, as revealed in the scripture and embodied by some saints, thinkers, and believers across generations, is neither naive nor weak. At best, it is courageous, it is liberating, and it is redemptive. Forgiveness has been seen to be, most of the times we see it as a religious ideal, but then it is a profound moral and a psychological act that frees the forgiver and offers peace and restores relationship and transforms lives. What is forgiveness? So, by the way, what we are going to do in the following few moments or minutes is we are going to be looking at understanding what really is forgiveness and the opposite of it, which is unforgiveness. I don't know really whether we are talking about unforgiveness or forgiveness, but the two are same size of the same coin. So we'll be exploring spiritual and physical consequences. We want to inspire a decision to forgive and let go. And we want to align our Christian living with God's command on forgiveness. This presentation really will expose the price and the cost. The price is the cost, and then the fees, this is the hidden changes of holding on to offense or offenses committed against us. So, in the book of Matthew 6, chapter 14, God said something, say, for if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But then Nelson Mandela said, resentment is like drinking poison and opting, hoping it will kill all your enemies and the other people to die. But then forgiveness, of course, is the heart of Christian faith, yet many struggle with it. The issue is that our non-Christians should forgive me, I'm speaking from a Christian background. So if I'm not, I mention the Christian faith more often, please forgive me because it is the way I'm wired this morning. So let's look at these two extremes, the same side of the same coin, forgiveness and unforgiveness. Forgiveness, as I defined it here, is a conscious, deliberate decision to release feelings of resentment or vengeance towards someone. On the other way around, unforgiveness is the intentional holding back of pardon, often accompanied by resentment, bitterness, and anger. And like as I said before, we are living in a world where we have always faced harsh words, broken trust, relationships, and unjust actions against us. It's either we have committed them against ourselves or others have committed them against us. The issue is, does forgiveness matter? Does forgiveness matter? Of course, forgiveness matters. So we're going to look at some categories of people whom we should be dealing with forgiveness. The very first person you should be thinking about or looking about forgiveness is your very self. And what are you forgiving yourself for? Negative thoughts, unwholesome acts that you have committed before, words that you have spoken against, other activities that have spoken against them. And the issue is that when you commit an offense against yourself, it drains you emotionally. And so if you forgive yourself, emotional healing comes to play. The second category of people you should be giving are the people who have offended us. And why is it important? Does it matter? Of course, yes. It brings about restoration, reconciliation, even in the family setup, even in the church, in the general society, and wherever. And then we also have to talk to God, because so many times we commit offense against God. Because we don't see God, we do things on our own and not according to the will of God. Sometimes we talk about will, and will, usually we talk about free will and permissive will. So God's will for your life is different, but you are doing things on your own that's inconsistent with the ways of God. So most of the times we commit sin against God. So we need to go to God and beg for forgiveness at all times. The word of God in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32 says, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God has forgiven me and you. So where and when do we forgive? First and foremost, we know that the heart is the seat of power, is the seat of emotions. And so we talk about forgiveness first and foremost in your own heart. Of course, if you don't conceive forgiveness in your own heart, then how can you go about forgiving? And where do we forgive? And when do we forgive? In fact, the Holy Word says that we should forgive 70 times, 70 times. I think either for a lifetime or in a day or whatever. But going through write-ups and things like that, I found out that forgiveness should be a way of life. Because we are all human beings, we are imperfect creatures, and therefore, of course, what seems something like a wholesome act to me may not be the same thing with you. So we can always offend people, and therefore, once we know that we have offended, we should just forgive and let go. So we look at biblical and spiritual context of forgiveness. And I know many of us, like as I said, forgiveness most of the time is looked upon from a spiritual context. And many of us here are religious one way or the other. So one of the things that happen to us when we do not forgive is that it separates us from God. It blocks our prayers. And from what I have gathered during my few days on earth, unforgiveness opens the door to the enemy. That we will find in the book of Matthew 18:34. And then again, forgiveness gives rise to demonic torments, bitterness, and emotional captivity. If we look at it from the spiritual context, we can even say that unforgiveness is disobedience to God Almighty, because Jesus has commanded us to forgive. Therefore, holding back to offense is rebellion against divine instruction. Now, I'm going to take us to another dimension of forgiveness, which is about health benefits of letting go. Of course, we all know that I am coming and speaking from a medical background, and I cannot come to talk about forgiveness without alluding to, making reference to the health benefits. And I'm going to look at it both from the physical, mental, and social perspectives. So if we look at it from the physical perspective, we say that forgiveness leads to lowering of blood pressure, reduces the risk of heart diseases, it gives us better sleep and reduced fatigue, and gives us stronger immune system. On the mental aspect, it leads to decreased depression and anxiety. Forgiveness leads to emotional stability. And then we can also say that forgiveness leads to greater self-esteem and peace of mind. From the social angle, of course, forgiveness leads to improved relationship because reconciliation and peace abounds. Where forgiveness flows, trust rebuild, love can grow, and unity can then flourish. So at this point in time, I probably want to pose some reflections and exercises that we will do now. The first reflection exercise is, can you just list 3 people you have not truly forgiven? List 3 people you have not truly forgiven. Remember, I said that forgiveness is an act, it's a virtue that's much talked about, but not easily acted out. The second thing I want us to do is to ask ourselves, what is keeping you from releasing them? Remember, we said that forgiveness is about resentment. So what is it that is making you, preventing you from releasing them from you, so that you set yourself free from that prison you have hold yourself? And then sometimes Flora had always mentioned something about writing a letter. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, Flora had written a letter to her father because of issues that they had before when she was much younger than now. So while you reflect on that, let me just give us the link between health benefits and letting go. Now remember, I talked about reduced blood pressure levels, reduced risk of heart attack, and all the rest of them. Now, one thing that is common when we are holding resentment against an offender is that anytime you see the offender, you get angry. And what happens is that this syndrome, in medical parlance, we call it the fight or flight syndrome. Fight or flight syndrome. So when you're offended, the brain and the systems in the body release what we call stress hormones. And now these stress hormones release chemicals. The major of them, adrenaline, noradrenaline, and then cortisol. Now, what they do is they cause a series of chemical reactions. So one, you are breathing faster, your heart is beating faster, your eyes are dilated, and you are either ready to devour the offender or you run away. And that's what happens when we are angered and when we are holding resentment against somebody else. So if you continue to hold this resentment against the offender, what happens is that it will lead to what we call a toxic stress. Now, toxic stress will lead to one, enlargement of the heart, which we say in medicine, left ventricular hypertrophy. So when the heart becomes enlarged more than normal, it fails to pump. So you are going to either have stroke at the end of the day or heart disease. In fact, the heart disease can lead to heart attack, and the heart attack can lead to heart failure. Sometimes the blood vessels get constricted. Of course, why your heartbeat increases is because when we have release of this adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol, they go and do what we call vasoconstriction. The blood vessels get narrowed, so less blood flows through the vessels. At that point, the heart needs to pump harder and harder, and that is what leads to high blood pressure. So we can now see that there's a link between resentment, anger, and forgiveness linking up to our health. So when we have this stress response, sometimes our sleep can be deprived. We lose sleep because we are holding somebody back, and I think it happens to a lot, many of us. So at the end of the day, I don't know how far we have done with the reflection exercises, but then Flora, I want to conclude by saying that unforgiveness is a heavy burden with high spiritual and emotional costs. The price may seem justified in the moment, but the long-term fees, broken relationships, poor health, unanswered prayers, and distance from God are very, very heavy. The word of God says, "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy." That is Matthew 5, chapter verse 7. On that note, I want to hand back to you. But remember, there are some biblical truths about forgiveness. If we go to Proverbs 17, verse 22, it says, a cheerful heart is a good medicine, but a broken spirit does dry up the bones. Again, Ephesians 4:31-32 says, "Let all bitterness, wrath, anger be put away, and be kind and forgiving." And Proverbs 4:14-30 says, "A heart at peace gives life to the body." This shows that peace, forgiveness, and release of bitterness supports physical and spiritual health. Thank you. But in conclusion, there is a call to action here. We are all expected to make forgiveness a daily lifestyle. We should release past hurts through prayer and counseling if needed. We should teach and model forgiveness in our family and in our community, and we should trust God for healing because He is the rewarder of those who obey. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Thank you. Back to you, Flora.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ala-Binte. Thanks for sharing. But I'm going to put you on the spot. Yeah, because one of the reasons why we made this possible is for you to share your story. And so I'm going to ask you a question. How did you forgive the people who murdered your family? They didn't come for forgiveness because you don't know them. But how did you learn to forgive them and move on? And also the family of your late friend. There were things that happened at the time, and yes, they are human. We can excuse them for thinking that you are part of this whole thing because they lost someone. So how did you learn to forgive them? So 2 questions in one, please. I think it's better we learn from experience than, just adding it to some of the things that you've shared.
Flora, how many times did I call you?
3 times, sir.
I told you that forgiveness is much more frequently touted, but very difficult to act out. I imagine myself, I still call to remembrance that 10th of May, 2019, when the unexpected happened. I am praying to God that, assuming I come face to face with them, I will tell them I've forgiven them, but I can never forget it until the end of time. You have done nothing to anybody else, just for people to connive together and come and take part of your family away, kill them, throw them away, collect ransom. Bitter pill to swallow. But as a Christian, I'm learning and trying to cope. For my tenant's family, it's another bitter thing again, because all through, unknown to me, because my late wife is a petty trader, so the Tarelate, my son, was kidnapped right in the church while in the shop while eating with his friend. And from a generous heart and point of view, even though I was in a very difficult, painful situation, 90% of the things that were in the shop were handed over to the family, even before his burial, because his body was found within the neighborhood. So even before the burial, I had to meet with some people. As at that time, I was still thinking that my family will resurface someday. That was about 2 months. So we got to gather rice just to help them in the burial proceedings. But then they were the one that was saying, I even from what I hear, the wife and the other people, do you know that they said that, oh, they released my family, but I was hiding them in Shell Arui. So here was a situation where I think when they talk something like said that the body don't get double wahala or that kind of thing. I was in their pain, and then they were adding salt to injury. But for the survivors of my tenant family, I've forgiven them. According to the Bible, say, forgive them for they know not what they do. So in coping with this dastardly act, well, I only hope that the kidnappers and murderers of me and my family and my son, if they are alive, if I see them, I will tell them I've forgiven them, but I will not forget that injustice and unwholesome act done to me. Today, now, I'm talking of twins. At 62 years, I should be a grandfather by now. But right now, I have to start life again and again. And just like what somebody said, managing twins is a very terrible situation. One, because one cries, the other one cries. One poo-poo, the other one poo-poo. One eats, the other one must eat. And it's like they are mimicking one another in their own actions. So it's a very terrible thing. And unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I buy a can of food, 15,500 naira for them. And they finish this can of food in 3 days. 3 days, they have finished the can of food. So every three days, I buy like a can of food at the cost of 31,000 naira. It is not easy, all because of an unwholesome act that has been committed against me. But then I leave it up to God. Thank you, Flora. I don't know if I answered your question, but
Thank you.
at the best the
Thank
way
you.
I can explain to us. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. God works in mysterious ways. I know that if somebody would have told you that at 62 you'll be nursing twins, you would have said, "Oh no." And maybe sometime in your younger age, you admired twins, but then it didn't come and you moved on. But then life came with a twist and said, "Okay, this is what it is." But it's also like teaching us, making us busy. Yes, you've retired. There's always something that the universe is bringing to us to say, "I'm here. I'm thinking about you. You may not understand what I did, but you will get to know later." So I like that you said if you meet those people, you will tell them you've forgiven, but you will never forget. Forgetfulness is not part of the equation. I know sometimes we will say forgive and forget. We are not suffering from amnesia, and nobody's going to remove our memory. We would always remember. The only thing is that when we remember, what does he say? When you forgive people, it means that when you remember, it becomes a story of healing for other people, a story of redemption, a story of grace. Unlike when you're here to forgive you, once you remember, you start cussing those people out. You are just shouting, you are screaming, you never be well with them. But when you forgive people, you take all the lessons and you move on. Oftentimes I say here that things happen for us and not to us. Whatever happens for a reason. If you get to a point where you believe God has a plan for everything, um, it makes it easier. It might be tough, but that's what Christianity is about. If we're going to place it in that way, and that's what the universe wants us to believe. That there is a superior person planning our lives. If he might not have sent those things, but if he doesn't allow it, it will not happen. So if we get to that point, everything is to also teach us something and to wire us to a path where we need to be. Someone got me upset last week, the last 2 weeks. But then when I look at it, I keep saying to myself, you've overstayed your welcome. Like you may be thinking about, oh, this is not working. And then something now made you to say, okay, I've been nursing this in my heart, but I needed something to push me. And once that thing pushes me, it gives me a reason to say, okay, let's explore what other things. And you see yourself moving to greater heights and you see yourself exploring because life happens, but it takes maturity for you to see that there is grace in everything that has happened to you. The world may not understand, people around you may not understand, but I bet you there's so much grace in you taking things the way they come, learning to forgive people. One of my friends who said, who my close friends, but then when I was ill, he didn't care for me or didn't reach out as he was supposed to. So when I got better and we met somewhere, I think in church, I didn't do as if there was something. He raised a hand to hug me and I hugged him and I moved on. I did whatever. After we talked, he now said to me, "What kind of human are you?" I said, "What happened?" I said, And he was expecting that I would be so angry with him that he didn't care. So, oh, you know you didn't. I said, yes, Flora, sorry, I didn't know how to take that. And if something had happened to you, I don't know how I would have. I said, okay, you're not serious. Are you listening to yourself? Let's say that I died. Is it not better that you showed during my time of preparing for death? But then let's go bygone, bygone. I said to him that I wasn't depending on you, that the universe will raise warriors to support me. I have that relationship with God that I will never be stranded. So even when the people who, in quotes, are supposed to be there for me and they choose not to, the universe will raise people. It's the same thing with the word of God that, in fact, God will raise stones. Like you will be surprised how help will come from left, right, and center. I said you weren't in the picture, but I didn't lack anything. I was well. I even told him something that made him wanted to cry. I said, for some of you that didn't care, I fought to live so that you will see me. Like I was fighting, whatever it is, because I didn't want to just give up. Why would I? So you don't need to show up. I choose to forgive all of them. I talk with them, all of them. I don't bear any grudge with anybody, not even one. I move on because I believe that the universe had set people who were to support me at the point like at that point where I was thinking, okay, what's the next from this? Whatever happened, there were people. Every time I speak, somebody will say, oh, Flora, I heard your name in a group somewhere, that somebody raised your name in prayer. And I said, who? I don't know. People were praying from all over the world because I went public with it. So I didn't need the few friends who chose to excuse themselves, maybe because they think that, oh, cancer is very expensive. She will start begging us for money. Heaven knows that I didn't beg anybody for money. But the universe got in place. So I chose forgiveness. Up till now, I don't have yet anybody against anybody, and I choose not to. If anything happens to me, or whether now, whether in the future or whatever, I see it as the will of God, and I move immediately. After thinking about those things, and I'm angry about it, and I talk about it, and whatever it is. At that moment, I will just sit back and say, God, what's next? What is this telling me? And once I think about it, I'm making the next move. I don't let anything, I don't let anything bother me, whether friends or whatever. I move. If I'm the one who made myself, I forgive myself and I move on to the next thing, because that's the only way to survive. Relationships with people, relationships with anybody. I mentioned to my friend, not my friend, my students, that I forgive everything. And they now take it as, they now do emotional blackmail for me. They will do something. I say, Mapon, you said you forgive everything. I said, well, don't be careful. And so that's but I like that they understand that I said I'll forgive, and I take things differently. It's not a do or die. Life has a way of helping us, of encouraging us to share, to grow, to become better. So I'm grateful for where we are. It's Ala-Binte, grateful for your life, for your family, for the new bundle of joy. God has a reason for them, and a beautiful reason for whatever happened to you. Thank you. You want to share something?
Yeah. So I shouldn't be the one talking at this time now, because I've given us some exercises, and I can see our great philosopher in the mold of Olubumi. Her hand is up, so let's hear from her.
So, you will kill this Olubumi, from money therapist to philosopher to psychologist.
Everybody, platform is a thinker. Everybody on this platform is a thinker and is a philosopher. So when adding the title, philosophers of character room. Bumi, go ahead.
Yeah, Olubumi, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Ala-Binte, for such a beautiful presentation. Thank you, sir. I have a comment and as well a question. And that's
Okay.
because I've been reflecting on forgiveness and there just might be somebody in the room who is thinking, how do I handle this situation? Here's what I mean. It would seem that we put more pressure on the offended than on the offender. We pressure the offended to forgive for many beautiful reasons, especially as outlined by Mr. Ala-Binte in today's presentation. It's really for your own good. You live longer, you move around more easily, you avoid health diseases, things like that. So that is one reason why we put more pressure on the offended, right? Because we're really looking out for you, because you are the one that we have access to. If we had access to the offender, maybe the strategy will be different. And that is, my first comment. We may need to begin to think about how to, for lack of a better word, pressure the offender to also make amends. Sometimes it's easier to forgive when the other person meets you halfway. I had a conversation with a friend yesterday who told me about an altercation with another mutual friend. And she said, oh no, he wouldn't forgive. This offender reached out and, just made an attempt to reconcile the situation between them. And this friend that I was speaking with yesterday said, no, 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 never going to talk to him. As far as I'm concerned, he's dead to me, blah, 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 blah. And I was just thinking about that. Unfortunately, I couldn't convince him to change his mind, but at least I tried. I said to him, see, it even takes courage for a person to reach out to you to say, I'm sorry for what I did. I've had a reflection. I have now seen that I was in the wrong. Please forgive me. And it's okay if you can't forgive in the immediate, because, we're all human. We're all at different stages of life. There might be reasons why we don't have the emotional boundaries. And I said to him, see, all you have to do is, one, don't lean into your own strength to forgive. Ask God to help you. It's not something that you can do. You might make up your mind several times to forgive and then find that you are not able to. So please, don't rely on your own strength alone until when you're ready, until when your mind is clear. No, ask God to help you. Show to God that you really intend to forgive, but you're not able to, or you're struggling with it. And two is, please, I'm just sharing what I shared with my friend yesterday. Please reach out to the offender. Say to the offender, I hear you. Thank you for reaching out. I celebrate your courage at reaching out. Unfortunately, I'm not there yet. I'm not even at the point where we can have a conversation, let alone resolve the issues and then forgive each other. But I acknowledge the fact that you reached out. I think that it will help the offender subsequently, right? We don't want to build a wrong memory. No, don't even bother trying to reconcile, because when you do now, you face even more ridicule. The person may not even answer you, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, I don't know how effective my counsel was, but I'm just sharing with us that that is what I shared with a friend yesterday. So basically, if you're struggling with forgiving a person and you're in the room thinking, you people, you don't know what this person did, or you don't understand, blah, blah, blah. The truth is, we don't have access to the person who offended you. We only have access to you, and we are looking out for your own healing, for your own comfort and acceleration as you move forward. And that is why we're saying to you, try to forgive, but don't try to do it in your own strength. Ask God for help. Ask him to, when you even show to him that, God, I really want to obey you. Your command is for me to forgive. I really want to, but I'm not able to. Then he supplies the grace. My next question, I said I had a comment and a question. The question is, how do you deal with a repeated offender that you cannot get away from? And I'm really interested in this, in our response to this. If it's a one-off, if the person has done the thing, that's it. But a person who continues to do the same thing and you can't get away, maybe physically from such a person, how do you deal with such a situation? How does forgiveness work in such a situation? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments in the first instance. I think what I need to say regarding your comment is that time is the greatest healer of all wounds apart from God. Time is the greatest healer of all wounds apart from God. So, with time, things fade away, and then you begin to turn a new leaf of life. At the end of the day, you say, hey, what is it after all? So, we should just allow things be for the. That if you have a wound, the first instance of you sustaining the injury is very painful. But as the wound heals gradually, you begin to feel less pain. And at the end of the day, what you have is a scar. So allow time for healing to take place. That's one. Then on the other way around, reaching out to the offender must not be seen as a weakness. And I think that is where I alluded to the fact that courage in this whole issue about forgiveness, virtue about forgiveness, is very important. And then it is also redemptive. But then something very key that you have mentioned, not relying on your own strength. Not relying on your own strength. So prayer is also very key in this journey of life, because we are imperfect human creation. So whether we like it or not, we will be offended one way or the other. But the issue is that the offenses differ in magnitude, in grades, and all that. If I pick a quarrel with you, Olubumi, over a money issue, it's easier for us to resolve it. Our differences will be resolved very easily. But when you come to kidnap me and my family, you kill them and throw them away, you come to collect ransom, that scar will remain. That scar will remain forever and ever. But your second question, repeated offender, that means that that person does not mean well for you. That repeated offender is doing things intentionally to bring you down. So you need to be on the watch out and probably look for a way to judge this matter with a third party. But that said, I will like Flora and Tunde Nachuku or other members to comment. Thanks, Olubumi. I don't know whether that gives some answers to you or insight to your query and comments.
Thank you for sharing. I have a question to follow up with Olubumi's question, please. Olubumi, I want to understand clearly, reaching out to the offender. Is it that the offender didn't reach out to us, acknowledging what he did, or we just woke up one morning and said, okay, this person offended me, let me reach out to this person. She might not know that she offended me. I just want to understand, is it that the person reached out to me and then I asked the person, okay, let's take it, or let me just think about it. And after thinking about it, I go back to the person, or that the offender did something, walked away, and then I looked for the offender, let's say somebody who raped me, and I look for the person to say, I want to forgive you. I just want to know where the angle that you're coming from.
Oh, thank you. In this particular situation, the offender reached out to the offended, but the offended is not keen on even acknowledging, let alone having a conversation with the offender.
Yeah, okay. For that one is I agree. Maybe when you are ready, you can reach out. But I'm also like maybe a bit struggle when someone is here to recognize, or even if they know that they did something, but they are not coming forth to say, I did something to you, I'm sorry. Also, when I see them, I now reach out to them to say, you did me wrong, and I'm here to forgive you. We can have a conversation that is not outside what you did to me, showing that no, we are not bearing this. But for me to say, I want to forgive you, but you've not reached out for forgiveness. Even the scripture say, I don't think God forgives us without us asking. Say, ask for forgiveness. Come, confess your sin to me, and I will forgive you. I don't know if it's just in the way, like, because we also not let people who offend us become victors in our lives. We are crown and we're abada on top of them offending us. I would share from a place of, oh, you offended me. You recognize that you offended me. You reach out. I'm not ready. When I'm ready, I'll reach out to you. Fine. Or you reach out, I'm ready. We have a conversation. But I'm thinking, you did something so bad. You never reach out. There is nothing. When I see you, I say, okay, please come. I want to forgive you. I'm not sure. It's not also just like you mentioned, teaching that person that they did something wrong. They will see it as life is all about letting go. And we see that in children as well. When children do something to us, we don't even talk about it. We don't let them see that they actually did something, and we let go. They are children, they will not understand. No, they are not children. They know what they did, and they need to learn to ask for forgiveness. Then you forgive. So for me, allowing people to also see that they need to recognize the fact that they hurt me. And once they ask, or once we are ready to have the conversation, we actually have this conversation. And if I'm ready at the time, readiness is very important, and nobody is going to pressure you to forgive anybody. If I'm ready at the time, I will forgive. If I'm not ready, let me think through it. And you can reach back, or when I'm ready, I'll come back to you, and then we'll continue. But I'm not going to let somebody who annoyed me, or not annoy. I know it can be a simple thing, like if somebody should actually hurt me seriously, and then I will say, oh, I'm coming to you because I want to forgive you. Okay, I'm thinking about it. It's possible. Some people will do it, but I think that it doesn't, especially when the offender is not a genuine person, is not a good person. It gives that person leverage to hurt other people, because people will always forgive. Yeah, it's Nigeria. I'm a Christian. The Bible says you should forgive, and when you come for forgiveness and you start quoting for me, the Bible says you should forgive 70 times 70. I'm going to intentionally delay the forgiveness process. Please don't bring that up. It's more like, are you willing not to do this again, rather than you telling me that you would try till the 70 times 70, because that's the way people now use it as a way of not forgiving, like not doing something the next time. The next time, the same thing you are doing it, and that's for your second question. That same thing you do often. No, we are going to have a conversation, and I'm going to withdraw from you. And it means that you don't have a good intention for me, and you don't want to grow out of it. We are not going to fight, but I'm going to give you some space. I will not allow you to keep hurting me. I refuse that you keep hurting me. And that's why I walk away from things that take away my space and my peace. If constantly you keep hurting me, constantly I forgive you, and every day you keep coming back, I'll be the one to walk away, and I can even block you from everywhere. When you are ready to grow up, we'll continue the conversation. And if I can't walk away, no, there's nobody I can't walk away from. I am so sorry. And there is no one I can't walk away from. I can't walk away from anybody, whether it's family, whether whoever it is. Yes, blood has joined us together, but I can choose my distance. I can choose to breathe and have my peace. When you are ready for us to continue being siblings or continue being father and mother or whatever, then we'll continue because blood has joined us together. But at the point where it's affecting my peace, I will give you space. That's me. My peace speaks to me. Any other person can contribute, but that's how I see it. I would walk away. Nobody on this earth I can't walk away from. I'm so sorry. My peace speaks to me more than every other person. I walk away, we will now get to a point where we can now have the conversation, and either we reconcile or we agree to keep our distance. But I don't want people to keep hurting me. Now, I'm not going to give you that space.
Yeah, so you have said it all, Flora. The best thing for somebody who is repeatedly offending you does not mean well for you, like as I alluded to in the first instance. So the best thing is to keep the person as an arm's length. Yeah. So I don't know whether there is another person who is willing to contribute to this discussion. Sometimes this issue of forgiveness is a very difficult conversation. It's a very difficult conversation. It's not as simple as we are looking at it, especially when you have been hurt down to the very bone marrow. But then what else can we do? So any other contributor? Tunde, are you there? Tunde, are you speaking? Because the network seems to be interrupted. Hello?
No, I don't think he's on the call, but anyone can speak, please. Anyone can share. Anything coming to mind? It's 8:02. Forgiveness is a very difficult journey, but we'll learn to forgive. We'll learn to forgive. Very, very, it's difficult, but it's a journey. We'll learn to forgive, but if people keep hurting you, please walk away. Excuse yourself, and then find your peace. That's it. Find your peace. They will be fine. They will always be fine.
Yeah, so I think, Laura, I think, okay.
Let's someone's hand up.
Oyetunji Oyedeji Matthew.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Miss Flora.
Good morning.
Just want to add one or two things also. Also, one of the things we can do when we have the issue of a continual offender, also we can set a boundary as an individual. Let them know what we stand for and what we cannot take at a particular time. When we set a boundary, it will still give space. I can say when I was in school then, the way I relate with people, due to my belief, my church, they felt, if you are from this church, you should not be doing like this. But that's not how I was brought up. I was brought up to relate, but there is a boundary between my relationship. There is a boundary when they want to do something that they know that is painful. Despite the fact that I was the assistant course rep, my course rep will sideline me because he knows I can't do that. So when there is a boundary, when there is a clear boundary, they will know what to stand for. Even when there is a repeated offender, when it's coming up at a particular point, there will be a time he will be tired. This person cannot more take this. And also we should always have a kind of people, even when we know that this person is offending us as a person, individual. Don't let us keep this thing to affect our own health and mind. Also, we should be peaceful. When we live peacefully, we can be fine. And that person also, at a point, they will also realize that this person is no go area again. And by then, as Explorer, you can always do away with them. And at a point when they realize, they will come back to apologize and life will continue. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Binta's hand is up.
Okay.
Good evening. Yes, good.
Binta, your network is poor. We can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, better.
Thank you, ma'am. So now I said I would like to contribute to the conversation we are having with respect to forgiving. And one thing is that with what Miss Olubimi mentioned, that the offended and the offender. See, one thing is some people actually they will never come to apologize. In a situation whereby, even though I found it so weird for someone that there are different levels of hurt, there are different levels of pain. You might be having a conversation with people and someone shun you or someone talk in a hurtful manner to you. You know, it's different from maybe betrayal of trust. It's different from maybe blackmail. It's different from. So we have categories of those situations like that. So, but one thing is, I do say something. People, you don't have control to some extent. The way people treat you, the way people tend to come and do things to you. But the way you respond to it as an individual really goes a very long way. Do you understand? What is you yourself as a person? What kind of thing do you want to allow in your circle? What kind of thing? How do you want to take things? How do you want to see things really matter? See, some people are very deliberate about not making you happy. They are very deliberate. I can't imagine when people can just go on and be situation where someone was sharing to me. There is difference between what that person has done and you said the person did it. Do you get it? There is difference between what the person never imagined doing and you keep on blackmailing that person just to prove a point. Do you understand? And I told Ada, do you know what is a mess? But within yourself, you know all these are not right. Better you can, if need be, if there is the space, if there is the answers, you can reach out to those people and explain your own part. And one thing is the fact that some people are fond of hammering someone's as enemy based on the fact that what you've heard about that person might not even be true. So all those things has a complexity level, but you yourself as a person, the way you respond to it really matters. And setting a boundary will help you a lot. People will offend you, they keep offending you, and they still want you to forgive. The best thing is for your own peace. Nothing, no fight. Greet yourself. But just know that you will not allow that person in that position. Maybe you placed that person before. I have a scenario whereby during my NCE level, I had a very close friend. We were together as in, we are friends. Everyone, even my lecturers, everybody know we are very, very close. But this person, she has, I don't just understand. Maybe the kind of person she is, I don't just get to know. But then I do play along that, okay, we'll just solve it. She will come in, I'm sorry, sorry all the time. It's fine. And let's keep on. But one thing set apart when we went for our degree in LASU, and the same person kept repeating and the thing is just that maybe she telling people about what I did not even do, or maybe what I don't just understand. And we happen to be roommates, everything, we're together, we cook together, we do stuff together. This same person, we were together in my house for 6 good months during our teaching practice during NCE. So during degree too, we were together, and one thing happened to the other. It seems I've once shared that story. And I was like, hey, how can someone be like this? But my own is that I took control over that situation. I had to call the other roommates We sat down. I discussed to them that this is what is happening. Do you get? This is what is happening, and I'm finding it difficult to sleep with someone on the same bed, and the person is treating me this kind. Do you know what one person mentioned? That person said, Binta, she said, when your result came out, you didn't tell her your result. I was marveled. I was flabbergasted because I felt, wow, okay. And one thing about me is that I can't do two-face. So if that is not me, I can never do it. I called her, I said, okay, please come. When this result was released in first semester, who did I call for? As in, did we have this conversation or not? She was not looking. She couldn't talk. Hey, God, I said, wow. Didn't I tell you what my result is? And you even told me yours. And I prayed that God will make us succeed in this school and all of this. She was looking. She couldn't talk. Can you see what if I didn't what if I didn't make that conversation happen? Because I don't even understand. So I just told those people that I really appreciate everything. I appreciate them. And one thing I said, number one, her right in front of everyone, myself and her, we can no longer cook together. Do you understand? We can cook together. It's fine. But how can you those things that are not okay? As in how use the same person that every material, my time, my resources, everything, I made it available for you, just to also help you. And alhamdulillah for the grade you have, and alhamdulillah for everything. But even that, you did not even appreciate it. All you tend to do is just blackmail me to others, maybe so that they will see me as a bad person. One thing about me, I don't care what you think about me. The fact that I know I will not hurt you, I will not come to you to diminish you, I will not come to you to do all of this. It does not matter to me. It does not get to me. But one thing I've tend to learn, at times we will keep silent and let things keep repeating itself. There is need at times for us to let that conversation happen, maybe between friends, families. Just call that person, talk. Let's have this conversation. If I didn't have that conversation that day, I might not have even known, even what she was even saying does not even pertain to. The only thing is, if we wake up, she will frown her face. I will greet her, she will frown. I was like, what is all this? Maybe I'm talking to her. So I felt okay. That was how I summoned everyone, and that thing popped out. That person never told me about it, not until when I brought up the conversation. Do you understand? So we have, after that, the next section, she didn't even bother to renew the payment. She left. I'm fine, I'm good. We do meet in department. I'll greet her, we'll do everything. Even my parents, my families were like, your friend. Even during our convocation, but she wanted to come back. But no, this time around, during activity, she will call me. At times, sincerely speaking, I will not pick the call because I was like, what other? Because you know people that always hurt you and they are still intentional about staying within your circle. What kind of relationship is that? You don't want good for person and you are still showing you love. What kind of love is that? We don't have to deceive ourselves. Do you understand? So I was able to create that boundary. And even this person later, I said we'll not cook together. There was a situation whereby I still cooked for her and serve everyone. So that is just the kind of person we are. So it's all about the way you as an individual, you are able to respond to things. And you see this forgiveness we are talking about, it's very, very difficult to do as we say it. Do you get it? Because at times we just sit there and look at, hey, this life, but just for your own healing, for your own self, for your own relationship with God, you just have to summon the courage. And as Ms. Olubumi has mentioned, yes, it can also work when you tell God, God, please just give me the grace, the strength to be able to forgive this person and let that person go. And one thing I will tell people, see, I'll forgive you, but forget, I cannot forget. That forget you. See, that word is non-negotiable. You can't forget. Why will you hurt someone? The person has forgiven you, fine. You are not asking the person that you just have to forget. Forget waiting. The thing is, the person will be able to learn from that situation and use that situation for further ado. So many experiences to share, but let me just stop today, and we'll continue this conversation next time. Thank you.
Well done, Flora. Flora, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
What next?
We close out. Thanks, everyone. And thanks,
Okay,
Ms.
so
Ala-Binte.
let me just say this. So the final takeaway for this discussion is that forgiveness is not just a moral or spiritual command; it is a health therapy as well. Forgiveness is a medicine for the mind, body, and soul, because choosing forgiveness can then lead to lowered blood pressure, reducing stress, protecting the heart, and improving the overall well-being of the individual. So on that note, I say thank you very much once again for the opportunity given me. Then I hand back to you, Flora. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for sharing, and thanks for sharing your experiences. It's not easy when we talk about these things, but grace will always be here to help us to deal with life itself. Nothing will take us away from the grace of God. Not what people did to us, and also not how we react to it. We should always find a balance, and take everything. Life happens for us and not entirely to us. There's always a purpose to something. It might not come the way we plan it, but the universe always has something beautiful for us. Anyway, thanks everyone, and thanks for being part
So
of the conversation.
Flora, sorry, there is a book on forgiveness by Matthew West. I've already posted it on the platform, so as much as possible, I think it's a very nice way to our health therapy, as we just suggested. I have not finished reading it, but the book is so marvelous. So we have an opportunity of getting it. We can get it and just follow up with whatever we have had, and then the experiences we have gotten from other people, and well as ours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much. It's good to also read and study and share the experiences of other people. One thing with books is you'll be in Nigeria and then you share experience of somebody who is in America or who is in the Europe or in other parts of the world. So please, let's learn more on how to forgive. There are processes, but it starts with a decision. You make a choice and you decide to say, let me let go. And then gradually you become perfect or become an expert in forgiving people. All right, thanks everyone. And we'll come back tomorrow to summarize the week. And then we have our book review. We should be in maybe page 10 or 10 to 12 now. Please, let's read up. And then tomorrow we'll have a lot to discuss. Have a beautiful day, everyone. And let's learn, keep learning to forgive people. Not an easy adventure, but the universe has given us the grace. So let's use the grace. Bye, everyone.
The grace of God is sufficient for us. And
Yes.
Olubumi, probably you need to buy my book and read.